Arc System Works took one of the most notoriously complex fighting game franchises in existence and somehow transformed it into a blazing fast side-scrolling action roguelike. Instead of needing to memorize 50-button arc circle inputs just to land a basic combo, you get tight, responsive 2D hack-and-slash combat that lets you double jump, dash, and unleash screen-clearing special moves with effortless, satisfying speed. You're stepping into a weird, futuristic research facility called the Lab, where you dive into a digital dimension known as the Sea of Possibility to harvest memory shards before reality collapses in on itself. That premise is really just a fantastic excuse to let you play as iconic anime fighters while smashing through waves of deadly robotic constructs and gigantic bosses. What makes the core gameplay addicting is the inheritance system, which lets you pass down passive traits and elemental powers from previously completed runs directly into your current character build. That means you can take a heavy sword slasher like Ragna and suddenly wrap his attacks in lightning or fire effects borrowed from entirely different cast members. Every run feels unique because you're constantly stacking wild synergy upgrades, changing how your primary attacks function on the fly. The visual style retains that gorgeous ultra-smooth sprite animation the series is famous for, paired with a heavy rock soundtrack that pumps non-stop energy into every single arena brawl. Dying during a deep run barely slows you down because you immediately head back to the hub area to unlock permanent stat buffs, fresh combat tactics, and new avatar skins. Anyone who loves lightning-fast platform brawlers will find this to be an absolute blast that respects your time while delivering pure combat adrenaline. Yacht Club Games took everything you loved about classic Game Boy Color adventures, threw in a healthy dose of Castlevania gothic horror, and handed a giant whip to a courageous mouse named Mina. It looks like a long-lost retro cartridge you would find at the back of a dusty garage sale, but the moment you pick up the controller, you quickly realize how crisp and responsive it actually feels. Mina is a hollower, which means her primary superpower is digging straight into the earth to glide beneath environmental hazards, dodge incoming enemy attacks, and burst back out right under an unsuspecting monster's nose. That burrowing mechanic alone changes the rhythm of top-down action combat, giving you a fast movement option that doubles as a tactical escape hatch when things get overwhelming. You get the trusty Nightstar Whip as your main weapon, but the game stacks on a whole arsenal of secondary tools and sidearms, ranging from heavy axes to throwables that totally alter your fighting style. It strikes this hilarious contrast between being utterly charming with its vibrant pixel art and being surprisingly spooky with ghastly boss encounters and eerie environments. There is also a light role-playing system where you collect sparks to level up your stats. Dying actually stings a bit if you lose your hard-earned stash before reaching a checkpoint. Anyone who missed the golden era of handheld action games will find that this project scratches that exact itch while ditching all the clunky design flaws of 90s gaming. It is snappy, challenging, packed with secret rooms, and proves that you do not need hyper-realistic visuals to deliver pure gameplay fun. Square Enix took one of the absolute biggest JRPGs in gaming history and gave it a top-to-bottom overhaul that looks like a playable handcrafted miniature diorama world. Dragon Quest VII was infamous back on the original PlayStation for being a 100-hour marathon where you spent half your life wandering around looking for missing tablet pieces. This reimagined version fixes that annoying pacing headache completely while keeping the iconic Akira Toriyama character art style front and center. You start on a sleep-deprived little island that feels like the only land in the entire wide ocean, but as you dig up stone fragments, you unlock portals to forgotten lands in the past, fixing historical disasters to make entire islands reappear in the present day. The coolest part of this fresh remake is the brand new combat feature called Moonlighting, which lets your party characters dual class by equipping two separate vocations at once. That means you can blend a heavy physical warrior with a spell-casting wizard, creating ridiculous custom party builds that smash through turn-based encounters. They also threw in handy combat speed-up toggles and smart tactics options so you can breeze through grinding sessions without losing your mind. Exploring the diorama-styled towns feels like looking into a cozy living handcrafted dollhouse filled with quirky villagers, detailed environments, and classic slime monsters. Old school RPG fans who gave up on the original release back in the day finally get the ultimate version, while total newcomers get a massive, time-traveling journey that respects their overall patience. It is charming, colorful, loaded with deep job customization, and stands as a masterclass in how to modernize a retro classic properly without sacrificing any of its original heart.
Alright, don't drop your guard, guys. We're taking this bad boy.
Nihon Falcom's massive JRPG universe has been building toward a world-ending climax for over 20 years. And this game literally launches a giant rocket into outer space to finally solve the ancient world's biggest lingering mysteries. You've got 3 distinct protagonist groups converging in one massive narrative arc, bringing back fan-favorite heroes like Van Ryn and Kevin for what feels like the ultimate anime crossover event. Dedicated fans who have kept up with the franchise lore will find endless, glorious fan service here, but even gamers just showing up for the tactical RPG gameplay get some of the finest combat mechanics Falcom has ever designed. You still get that seamless transition between real-time field attacks and strategic turn-based command battles. But now they introduce the Zone of Control system, or ZOC for short. In real-time action, ZOC practically freezes enemy monsters in place so you can beat them senseless, while in turn-based command mode, it grants your chosen character 2 consecutive turns back-to-back to unleash double the damage output. On top of that, reserve characters hanging out on your bench can trigger BLTZ follow-up attacks. Even your non-active benched party members are constantly throwing hands during tough boss fights. The story paces itself surprisingly well, considering it is balancing dozens of returning playable characters, geopolitical drama, and an actual futuristic space race occurring in the background. Watching all these storylines collide while tearing through boss encounters with flashy awakening transformations and screen-clearing special EOS crafts is ridiculously satisfying. And every battle keeps you actively engaged. It is ambitious, insanely cinematic, and proves that Falcom still knows how to pay off 2 decades of storytelling without losing its forward momentum.
Finds among withering stars.
Take a hyper-agile robot, drop it inside a dying interstellar arc ship, and give it buttery fluid movement physics so smooth that bouncing off enemy heads feels like second nature. That is Memories in Orbit in a nutshell, a 2.5D Metroidvania that looks like a hand-painted sci-fi concept art book brought to vivid life. You control Mio, a sleek machine navigating the mysterious crumbling corridors of the vessel, a massive spaceship overgrown with lush alien vegetation and frozen metropolis ruins. The real star of the show here is the traversal and combat mechanic, which relies heavily on staying constantly airborne. Every single strike you land against an enemy in mid-air immediately resets your double jump, allowing you to stay suspended indefinitely while chaining dodges, grapple hooks, and acrobatic slashes. You even get help from a weird centipede robot companion named Samsk that lets you glide across massive gaps and sling yourself across boss arenas like a metallic spider. Instead of a plain, boring standard health bar, Mio wears multiple protection layers that peel away as you take damage, creating a tense, high-stakes dynamic where getting hit repeatedly strips your defensive shell until one stray attack means instant death. Equipped with customizable modifier chips reminiscent of Hollow Knight's charm system, you can build Mio to deal extra damage when your armor is shredded or boost your grapple speed. Traversing the vibrant purple jungles and azure ruins is an absolute joy, purely because moving around feels so slick. It captures that sweet spot of high-speed platforming and rewarding map exploration without ever dragging down its momentum, making every room feel like a playground. Taking the warm, rainy night energy of the original Coffee Talk and moving the setting to a cozy back alley cafe in Tokyo turns out to be a match made in casual gaming heaven. You're back behind the counter playing barista, but instead of just making hot coffee, you're now mixing up refreshing iced beverages to help both humans and mythical Japanese yokai survive the sweltering summer heat. Your customer lineup is delightfully bizarre, ranging from an overworked turtle demon Kappa salaryman venting about corporate life to a recently deceased ghost girl trying to figure out how afterlife social media works. Gameplay centers around listening to their personal struggles, picking up on subtle hints about what they actually need, and carefully brewing the exact right drink to steer their character dialogue arcs toward happy, heartwarming outcomes. They expanded the barista toolkit this time around with custom latte art tools, sprinkle stencils, and custom milk etching options, letting you craft detailed drinks while soaking in a brilliant lo-fi soundtrack composed by returning musician Andrew Jeremy. Outside of pouring drinks, you get to scroll through Tomoda Chill, an in-game social media app where clicking trending hashtags unlocks hidden posts and secret backstory threads for your regulars. The dialogue strikes that great sweet spot between lighthearted humor and genuinely moving slice-of-life storytelling that tackles modern work culture and personal identity. Sitting down for a late-night shift feels like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket while listening to chill ambient music. It is comforting, thoughtful, loaded with charm, and stands as one of the most relaxing narrative games you can play on a quiet evening after a long, stressful day. Wishfully returned to their gorgeous sci-fi universe with a puzzle platformer sequel that looks like a high-budget animated feature film brought directly to your display screen. You're back on planet Novo, stepping into the shoes of Lana alongside her adorable cat-like companion Mui, exploring a world where lush natural ecosystems constantly clash with cold alien technology. The visual upgrade here is stunning, pulling you out of standard grassy hills and dropping you into treacherous, snowy mountains, dense tropical rainforests, and glowing underwater caverns. You even get to dive deep beneath the waves, controlling smooth aquatic maneuvers that open up entirely new layers of secrets across the map. What makes the gameplay flow so nicely is the expanded companion dynamic between Lana and Mui. Instead of just pressing a single button to tell your little buddy to sit on a pressure plate, you now command deeper interaction mechanics like hacking weird bioluminescent organisms, guiding local wildlife, and using brand new environmental abilities to bypass deadly mechanical sentinels patrolling the areas. The puzzles focus heavily on environmental logic, requiring you to think through physics interactions, light manipulation, and careful timing rather than frustrating trial and error platforming. Stealth segments feel far more organic this time around, giving you multiple hiding spots and subtle path options so you never feel forced into rigid linear routines. The orchestral soundtrack swells effortlessly during high-stakes chase sequences, contrasting against quiet moments of silent atmospheric storytelling where the game lets you pause and soak in breathtaking panoramic backdrops. It strikes a brilliant balance between relaxing puzzle solving and heart in your throat, cinematic escapes from towering robotic monstrosities. Anyone who loved original games like Limbo or Inside will easily fall in love with this colorful, heartwarming journey. Prideful Sloth took the cozy town building magic of Animal Crossing, injected a heavy dose of overcooked-style chaotic management, and handed you the key to a rundown tourist town in desperate need of a total makeover. Instead of standing around issuing grand mayoral decrees from behind a wooden desk, you're literally out on the pavement, running around with power tools, building ice cream stands, laying down roads, and personally harvesting timber to fuel your local supply chains. The core gameplay mechanic keeps you constantly on your toes because as your town rating climbs, waves of increasingly bizarre tourists start pouring into town, ranging from goofy clowns and polite robots to literal space aliens who claim they are totally just visiting. You have to hire local townies to automate resource gathering, but keeping the town running smoothly means actively managing production chains, decorating plazas, clearing out pileups of garbage, and fixing broken shop machinery before angry tourists leave bad reviews. What makes navigating your newly built city endlessly fun is the wide variety of ridiculous transport options at your disposal, letting you zip down Main Street in a fast go-kart, hop on a trusty horse, or casually zip through the sky on a flying broomstick. You can even terraform cliffs, customize worker uniforms, and build massive transit terminals to handle influxes of fresh visitors. Adding co-op multiplayer turns the game into a hilarious exercise in cooperative panic, where one friend is attempting to construct a fancy restaurant while another is recklessly driving a delivery vehicle into the local fountain. It is charming, absurdly addictive, packed with personality, and offers an incredibly satisfying gameplay for anyone who loves hands-on management simulators. Starseed Games created one of the most brilliant, emotionally heavy hidden gems in the entire indie role-playing scene, delivering an adventure that looks like a colorful SNES classic while secretly hiding a deeply unsettling psychological narrative. You play as Jimmy, an extraordinarily empathetic 8-year-old boy exploring a vibrant dreamscape, alongside his quirky, loving family members, including his upbeat mother Helga and his protective big brother. Everything seems cheerful and bright until a grotesque alien entity known as the Pulsating Mass begins corrupting the dream world, threatening to tear Jimmy's family apart. What sets the gameplay apart from standard Earthbound-style RPGs is Jimmy's unique empathy power, which lets him literally transform into various monsters he encounters throughout his journey. Shifting into a revolting blob lets you squeeze through tiny drainage grates. Transforming into a goon lets you bypass enemy guards, and becoming a sunflower heals your party during battle while unlocking fresh dialogue options. Combat follows traditional turn-based JRPG mechanics across 7 massive continents, allowing you to fight alongside 7 playable family members, but the tactical depth relies heavily on leveling up Jimmy's monster forms to inherit stats and special abilities. The tone shifts masterfully from heartwarming family comedy to terrifying body horror without ever feeling jarring, using a fantastic chiptune soundtrack that can sound cheerful one minute and deeply oppressive the next. Beneath its retro pixel art lies a 30-hour masterpiece about growing up, facing subconscious trauma, and protecting the people you love most. RPG fans who appreciate deep storytelling paired with clever transformation mechanics will discover a deeply rewarding adventure that stays with them long after the credits roll. Capcom finally pulled the trigger on bringing the Nintendo DS era's slickest alien-slaying RPGs into modern times, bundling 7 full versions of the Star Force trilogy into one glowing package. You step into the shoes of Geostellar, a grieving introverted kid who accidentally bonds with a loudmouth blue alien radio wave named Omega Kiss, turning him into a digital superhero. Instead of the classic 2-dimensional grid from Battle Network, Star Force flips the camera directly behind Mega Man's back into a 3x3 grid, forcing you to dodge incoming plasma blasts and manage custom card decks in fast, tactical, real-time combat. Collecting cards, tweaking your battle folders, and triggering screen-shaking noise transformations like Black Ace or Red Joker is absurdly satisfying, especially when you pair those crazy builds with the revamped online battling system. The real quality of life treat here is how Capcom smoothed out the awkward dual-screen original hardware setup. You can toggle custom single-screen layouts on the fly, crank up the buster damage toggles if you just want to breeze through random encounter grind sessions, and rock out to newly arranged soundtracks that hit like pure nostalgia. They even packed in rare event-only bonus cards that were nearly impossible to acquire back on actual handheld cartridges 20 years ago. On top of that, an extensive art gallery lets you browse hundreds of concept sketches and scrap designs while bumping original chiptunes. The story holds up surprisingly well too, tackling heavy themes of grief, personal connection, and building real friendships through the brother band mechanic while maintaining that classic Saturday morning anime flair. It stands as an absolute victory lap for an underrated era of Mega Man history that deserved way more love than it originally received.
Okay everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you liked that video, please leave a like and subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to get notified when we release new content. We hope to see you in the next video.